Pajamas by John Boyne. One afternoon, Bruno was surprised to find the maid packing. "Mother," said Bruno, "are we moving?" "Your father's job," said Mother. Bruno wasn't entirely sure what job Father did. All he could say was he had a fantastic uniform. The new house stood in the middle of nowhere. In his room, Bruno looked through the window and saw a huge wire fence that ran in either direction and sharp spikes sticking out. After the fence, there was nothing but low huts, square buildings, and smokestacks. He could see hundreds of people. They were all wearing the same clothes, a pair of gray striped pajamas with a gray striped cap. "When can we go back to Berlin?" asked Bruno. Father said, "A home is where one's family is, and our family is here, at Auschwitz." Bruno said, "Who are those people I see from my window?" "Ah, those people. Well, they're not people at all, Bruno." Bruno frowned, unsatisfied by the response. He shot his arm in the air, saying the words he said every time he left a soldier's presence. "Heil Hitler," which he presumed was another way of saying, "Well, goodbye for now. Have a pleasant afternoon." One day, Bruno went along the fence. He saw in the distance a boy with striped pajamas. Bruno had never seen a skinnier or sadder boy in his life. "I live on this side," said Bruno. "I'm Shmuel." "Why are there so many people on that side of the fence?" Bruno asked. "One day, the soldiers came and took us to a train. The train was horrible," said Shmuel. "There were too many of us and no air to breathe. The train stopped in a very cold place. Mama was taken away from us. Papa and I were put into the huts." Shmuel looked very sad, and Bruno didn't know why. After all, much the same thing had happened to him. Bruno met Shmuel every day. Over the course, Mother seemed increasingly unhappy with the life at Auschwitz. "It's horrible. I can't stand it anymore." "We don't have any choice," said Father. "This is our commitment to the work here." "Work? You call this work?" One day, Bruno saw his friend looked more unhappy. "Papa, we can't find him." Suddenly, Bruno had a brainwave. "If I had a pair of striped pajamas, I could come over." Shmuel's face brightened up. "And you can help me look for Papa." The next day, Shmuel handed the outfit to Bruno. He lifted the base of the fence, and Bruno had to roll under it. Shmuel had an urge to give Bruno a hug, to thank him for his many kindnesses, his gifts of food, and to help find Papa. Bruno opened his eyes in wonder at the things he saw. He thought the huts were full of happy families and children playing. He thought there would be a shop and cafe like in Berlin. Instead, there were crowds of people, looking horribly sad, terribly skinny. He could see either shouting soldiers or crying people in striped pajamas. "I don't like it here. I ought to go home," said Bruno. Shmuel stared at him. "But Papa!" There was a loud whistle. "What's happening?" whispered Bruno. "Sometimes they make people go on marches." "Marches?" said Bruno. "I can't go on a march. I have to be home for dinner." "Shh," said Shmuel. Bruno frowned. There was thunder and the rain poured. "That's it," he said to Shmuel. "I'm going to catch a cold." As he marched, he found they were all piling into a long room that was surprisingly warm, in fact, completely airtight. He took Shmuel's hand and squeezed it tightly. "You're my best friend, Shmuel. My best friend for life." At that moment, there was a loud gasp from the marchers as the door suddenly closed. Bruno, unable to understand the sense of all this, assumed that it had something to do with stopping people from catching colds. And then the room went very dark. And somehow, despite the chaos that followed, Bruno found that he was still holding Shmuel's hand, and nothing in the world would have persuaded him to let it go.